Going completely off-grid with solar. I mean, it's the dream, isn't it? Total independence, self-sufficiency, saying goodbye to utility bills forever. But, like with any dream, there's the reality. The stuff that doesn't always make it into the online highlight reels. So let's get into it. Let's do a real reality check.
And that right there is the big question we're going to tackle. The internet is just packed with these amazing success stories. But what are the crucial details they're leaving out? What about the hidden costs, the technical traps? Let's uncover the full story together.
Okay, so the first and honestly the most important dose of reality is this. You have to understand the huge difference between this and a standard grid-tied system. When you're off-grid, you are the utility company. There's no safety net, no backup power from the pole, unless you build it yourself. In this slide, this really gets to the heart of it. Over on the left, that's the dream, right? Clean energy, no bills. But on the right, that's the reality of being your own utility. That microwave you use every day, it could cause a peak load failure and shut your whole system down. And that piggy bank? Well, it's a good reminder that the costs aren't just upfront. You are on the hook for every single watt, every repair, every single failure. Which brings us to probably the most critical part of any off-grid plan, the math. Seriously, getting this part wrong is the #1 reason these systems fail. It's not just about grabbing a few panels and batteries and hoping for the best, it's about precision engineering for your specific needs. So, how do you get it right? Well, you have to follow these steps in this exact order. No skipping ahead. First, you calculate your daily energy needs in watt hours, and I mean everything, right down to the phone charger. Then, and only then, you size your battery bank to meet those needs. And finally, you can figure out how many solar panels you actually need to keep those batteries topped up. And speaking of batteries, we have to talk about depth of discharge, or DOD. This is a term you absolutely must get your head around. Think of it like a gas tank in your car. If you drive it until it's bone dry every single time, you're going to wear out the fuel pump fast. It's the same thing with your batteries, which, by the way, are by far the most expensive part of your system to replace. And you can see the trade-offs right here. With the cheaper, old-school lead-acid batteries, you can really only safely use about half their advertised capacity. If you go past that 50% mark consistently, you're basically destroying them. The newer, more expensive lithium iron phosphate batteries, they give you more wiggle room, up to 80%, but they still have their limits. Either way, respecting that DOD is non-negotiable if you want your investment to last. All right, let's wrap up the sizing steps. Sizing your inverter, this isn't just about your average daily use. Not at all. It has to handle your normal continuous load plus a pretty big surge margin for anything with a motor. Think a well pump or a refrigerator kicking on. And finally, proper wiring and protection. We're talking fuses and breakers. They aren't optional. They are literally what stands between a happy, working system and a potential fire. Which brings us to the darker side of DIY off-grid solar. Because when things go wrong, they can go very wrong. These aren't just little inconveniences. They could be really serious dangers to your home and your entire investment. Before I just give you the answer, think about it for a second. With all these complex parts, you've got panels, batteries, charge controllers. What do you think is the single most common reason a DIY system just completely fails? Yep, it's not the fancy, expensive equipment, it's the connections between them. Using wire that's too small can cause a voltage drop that starves your appliances of power, or, way worse, it can overheat and cause a fire. This is, without a doubt, the #1 cause of catastrophic failure. The next silent killer is battery degradation. Every single time you push past that recommended depth of discharge, you are permanently damaging the most expensive component in your whole setup. It doesn't fail with a bang, it just fades away, leaving you with a little less power each day until it's totally useless. And then there's peak load failure. This one's tricky. Your system might be running perfectly fine all day long, powering lights, your laptop, but the second you turn on a power tool or the water pump, that massive instantaneous demand for power can overwhelm your inverter and just shut the entire system down, leaving you completely in the dark. And then you've got the invisible dangers, the little gremlins in the system. Things like phantom loads from all your electronics that are on standby. The inverter itself, which just sips power 24/7 just by being on. You've got sudden voltage spikes from cold panels that can literally fry your charge controller. These are the subtle risks that can bring a system down when you least expect it. So after hearing all of this, how do you decide if this path is actually for you? Look, the goal here isn't to scare you away from off-grid living. Not at all. It's to arm you with the right questions to ask yourself before you dive in and invest a whole lot of time and money.
So this is your final reality check. Be honest with yourself. Don't just think about your average day. Think about your worst day. Can your system handle it? Are you actually financially prepared for when your batteries die? Because they will die eventually. Is your location sunny enough all year? And this last one is crucial. Have you accepted that you will probably need a backup generator? For most serious off-grid setups, it's not a luxury. It's an absolute necessity.
At the end of the day, off-grid solar can be an absolutely incredible, empowering way to live, but it is a serious commitment. By understanding the risks, respecting the math, and planning for failure, you can make a choice with your eyes wide open. So the final question you really have to ask yourself is this: are you truly buying freedom, or are you just trading one set of problems for another?